Daily Strength by John MacDuff. As your days, so shall your strength be. Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 25. The Christian is frequently compared to a pilgrim, traveling onwards through a dreary wilderness to the promised land of Canaan. His experience is varied and checkered. The path before him may be steep and arduous. He may have to pass through rough and stony places, dark, thick forests, rapid streams, and raging hurricanes. His days may be such as to require great strength, and great energy, and great perseverance. Oftentimes, when he strives to anticipate the future, his heart sinks within him, his courage fails, and he is apt to give way to despondency and doubt. But such a promise, as your days, so shall your strength be, may well suffice to calm the believer's fears and reanimate his fainting spirit. It is true that changes and vicissitudes will come. It is true that the heart which today is cheerful and happy may tomorrow be wounded and bleeding. It is true that the full cup which is now held with gladness may be dashed in pieces before the lips have tasted the refreshing draught. It is true that the bright hope which, like a guiding star, allures the traveler onwards, may speedily be enwrapped in pitch-black gloom. But to the child of God, there is a supply of strength to meet the hour of trial. He is not permitted to escape from the burden, or the cross, or the difficulty. But he is enabled to make his way through them all, to struggle with, and finally to overcome them. Many a time, when the believer has been well near crushed under the oppressive weight, when, conscious that ordinary strength would not avail, he has cried unto the Lord, and a fresh supply of grace has been given to meet the emergency, so that he could say with David, "I waited patiently for the Lord to help me, and he turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the pit of despair, out of the mud and the mire. He set my feet on solid ground and steadied me as I walked along." Psalm chapter 40, verses 1 and 2. It would be easy for God to make the path heavenward plain and unobstructed to his children. It would be easy for him to remove all care, anxiety, and sorrow, but such is not his purpose. Earth is the training school for heaven. God wills that his children should be tried. He desires that their spiritual natures should be refined and purified in the furnace of affliction, and that thus, by the very struggles and pains of their earthly pilgrimage, they should become more and more fit for serving him in this world, and more fit for the inheritance of the saints in light. The Christian, by each difficulty he is called on to encounter, by each trial he is summoned to bear, by each virtue he is required to call into exercise, becomes more vigorous, earnest, faithful, and Christ-like. His soul is gradually training and strengthening by duty, trial, and endurance here, for glory, honor, and immortality hereafter. Every fresh victory, over pride, over the world, over avarice, over selfishness, over fretfulness, makes us stronger for the time to come, and ensures the fulfillment of the promise. As your days, so shall your strength be. Christian, mark again these words. They do not pledge that we shall not feel the burden and heat of the day. All they promise is that we shall get safely through. They do not say that we shall not feel the weight of our duties, trials, temptations, or conflicts. All they say is that we shall have strength to bear their weight and journey on with our load. The grace imparted will then be sufficient for us, sufficient for our actual necessities, sufficient strength equal to our day. Strength to encounter the tempest will be given when the tempest rages. Strength to surmount the foaming surges will be given when the hurricane has actually come. Strength to grapple with the last enemy will be given when he comes forth to meet you. Yes, Christian, be assured that grace and strength will be imparted when you need them, as certainly as they will be withheld before you need them. He who guides you knows your necessities. In the day of trouble, he will not leave you comfortless. Journey on then with firmness, relying on his promise for needed grace and strength. You will, before long, enter into your final rest, and bid an eternal adieu to all your labors, and trials and temptations. You will take possession of the promised glorious inheritance, and will then acknowledge with a grateful heart, as my days, so has my strength been.